Hi, Lindsay. Beautiful.
Hi.
Great to have you on today's interview.
Thank you.
Let's dive straight in.
Yes, let's do it.
I want to understand who is Lindsay. You're such a like sunshine inside of the community, always bringing the good and the bad, like the things that are like the ups and the downs. And I love that. It's such an important part of the community. And you are definitely one piece of the heart of the community is definitely Lindsay. And so I'm glad to have you here on today's interview to get to know you and your story a little bit more, to share that and inspire other ladies to, yeah, take ownership of their transformation journey. So I would love to understand a little bit better who is Lindsay? How old are you? Where are you living? How's your like day-to-day life, basically?
Day-to-day life. Well, I live in sunny Charleston, which is in South Carolina. I live right on the beach, and all of my family lives around me. So a lot of my life is just spent outdoors, enjoying this phase of my life. I'm 27. So in your 20s, I feel like every 6 months you're creating a new identity, figuring out where you're going, what you're doing, who you want to be when you grow up. And that's certainly part of my journey and my everyday. I care for my grandparents. They live near me. I actually am a part-time event coordinator. So I live on site at a complex where my job is to connect adults and help them make friends and plan really fun parties for
Oh,
people
cool.
in college, whether they're 60 years old or 20 years
Yeah.
old. And a lot of my life is really centered around a great community around me and figuring out how to live in a way where I really feel like I've created a life that's worth living.
Cool. I love that. I think it really reflects in your like what you're radiating.
Mhm.
When I'm
I think,
looking at you, you are like a sunshine for me, and I'm like, you're living in the sunshine state, city,
yeah,
place. So I do think that the environment and the people we are surrounded by have a huge, huge impact on like
such a difference.
who we are. What got you even into health and fitness? Like, when did that start? Like, you're 27, some ladies in their 20s are still partying and doing all those kind of things. What made you even like health conscious?
Wow. Well, I've really only been on my fitness journey for about 5 years, which I consider to be a very short period of time. I never grew up working out. That also wasn't a thing. We didn't have
Yeah.
social media. We had no idea that girls could lift weights, or I used to do the magazine ab exercises on my floor when I was like 10 years old, had no idea what I was doing. And before I found fitness, honestly, my journey did start in a fairly dark place per se. I came from a very disordered eating background. I think many of us do, even if we haven't acknowledged it. Our families don't really know very much
Mm.
about food or nutrition. We're trying to figure it out, and we're very impressionable. And so I had started in middle school, years of just running myself into the ground with cardio and cutting, calories lower. And that really turned into binge eating and bulimia and cycling through the same 20 pounds of losing and gaining over and over again. And really, it did get to the point when I was in college, which was a very monumental shift in my life. I was alone, I was stressed out. That turned into just a full fledged eating disorder that really disrupted my entire identity. And I
Mhm.
did have to go to inpatient eating disorder treatment, got taken out of school. And when I had graduated treatment, that is when my body had really settled at the highest weight it had ever been. And at that point, that was really okay with me because that's when I started really understanding what health was, how to live in recovery. And that is actually when I started lifting weights and learning
Mm.
about nutrition. And I really give credit to my treatment team. It's not about, all right, trying to change your body, it's about trying to understand what your body needs. And so that was really the beginning of healing, not just fitness in general, learning how to take care of myself, focus on strength and health rather than shrinking.
Yeah.
That over the 5 years, I ended up becoming a personal trainer. I felt very passionate about teaching other women how to take care of themselves. I felt empowered by lifting weights. And really had changed mentally and physically. And that created stability in my life for the first time, and how I started finding my identity in what health looked like to me for the first time with the right education.
And can you remember like your earliest, like when did that start, like your obsession with like food and like exercise to shrink yourself? Like how young have you been?
I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was in eighth grade, had never really thought about my body or nutrition a day in my life. And I was in a school family and consumer science class, which teaches you about how to take care of the home and learn about nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And my professor or teacher at the time, she had told me about carbs and how if you have carbs, they'll make you gain weight. And I remember going to lunch that day and I didn't have my sandwich because I was like, oh my gosh, my teacher just told me that I'll gain weight.
Mm.
And she also had told me, I had told her that I love to golf, which was a huge sport. I played competitive golf my whole life. And she had said that that was the lowest caloric burning sport and it didn't count as a sport. So then my head started shifting of, well, I don't
Crazy.
know what exercise is, I shouldn't eat these foods. And that turned into quite a spiral over the next.
Yeah, I was just getting like goosebumps on my body because I'm like, this is so crazy how a comment about carbs and a comment about a sport for such a teenage girl is like changing like really how you are like perceiving things that you are doing that were normal to you, like the golfing and like eating your damn sandwich. Like you probably didn't think before that about this being like too much or this not burning enough calories, right?
You grow up and you're just not even aware of your body. It moves well. I had a family that was great at putting meals on the table and focusing on, right, a carb, a protein, a vegetable. My
Yeah.
parents did a great job. I was active. I lived outdoors. And so it really just took that one comment of someone diving in to associate negative connotations
Mm.
with the type of activity I was doing and the type of food that I was eating to really make me question what I was supposed to do or how I
Mm.
was supposed to look. And that's at an age too, where you start, you're going through puberty, you're aware of
Yeah,
boys for the first time. And it was something for me to really focus on. And that turned into quite an unhealthy obsession that really changed my life.
that's crazy. That's also why like the mission of Women's Trans Society is not only about like educating the older generation, because we have quite a lot of ladies in there like 40s and 50s, 30s, the moms who can then take care of educating their daughters, right? Because we have seen a lot of moms actually. For you, it was the teacher that had that like comment like slipping out, and that changed the whole perception for you. But oftentimes it's the mother living, or yeah, probably living some fat diet lifestyle and burning off calories and all those things, which then changes how the daughter is growing up and perceiving herself and her body, and then also starting to watch out for diets and stuff. I remember even Yannick, he's always talking about his mother for like 30 years trying to diet, and it definitely impacted even him as a boy growing up and being more conscious around those things. So it's really crazy what kind of impact it can have. You mentioned earlier that for you the team around you was super important, that helped you with recovery in your like healing journey. What was kind of, what do you remember, like one pivotal moment where you were able to shift into, okay, now I'm trying to understand my body better?
Yes, I do actually. So when you're an inpatient, right, you have a whole treatment team, as it's called, a bunch of people who are rallying for you, but that looks like a specific dietitian, a therapist, a psychiatrist, all of that fun stuff. And my dietitian was a crucial part in me being here I am today because she was explaining really the purpose of nutrition in our lives, and I could only see it through the lens of losing weight and gaining weight. And one challenge that she gave me, or homework that she gave me, she goes, what if you just ate what you wanted this week? And I was like, I can't, I'll gain weight. And what she did is she expanded my view of nutrition to be a lifelong journey versus a short term journey. And so she said, if you really care about living in a body that, right, of course, reflects who you are and you feel healthy, I understand you're uncomfortable, but this 1 week in time makes no difference. So she goes, would you rather, let's say, eat all the cookies that you wanted this week? Do you think next week you're going to want 40 cookies if you let yourself have them this week? And I was like, no, probably not. And she goes, so if you multiply that by 20 years, if you continue what you're doing and restraining from food and then binging, this will go on for the rest of your life. But if you give yourself 1 to 2 weeks to eat whatever you want, and then you don't want it again, or you're like, oh, that wasn't even that good,
Yeah.
that's then another 39 years where you're not going through the binging and purging cycle. And so I think her giving me an understanding that my lifestyle, nutrition, fitness, it wasn't about how do I lose weight tomorrow or
Mm.
what will this food do to me today? It was saying, how do I want to have a relationship with food for the rest of my life? And this year may not be where I want to be in terms of how I look, how I feel, but I need to do this work right now so that future Lindsey for the rest of her life can have comfortability in the foods that she's choosing and get rid of these very extreme body signals. And that was the first time that it really clicked for me.
Was it the first time that you shifted your perspective more to like the long-term transformation, long-term journey?
Yeah, because you realize that what I'm doing right now isn't working and I'm miserable. I wouldn't be here if I wanted to be here, right? And so her helping me understand that whatever health means to us or fitness or et cetera, that's until I'm 80 years old or 90 years old or even 30 years old. You know,
Mm.
I was young at the time. And so taking the pressure off of the feeling of it has to be done now. And that was always the urgency that created of how
Yeah.
do I lose weight next week for this event and taking that pressure off and realizing taking a breath of saying, even if I spend this 1 year in an uncomfortable place and I don't like how I look, or it's really challenging for me
Mm.
to reassociate emotions with food, this 1 year of uncomfortability may give me 80 years of comfortability and extending my view of the
Yeah.
meaning of my life entirety was massive.
Cool. I really love that. And I think it's great that you made the experience so early on. Although, of course, I mean, the story of you in eighth grade being confronted with carbs not being good and golf not being like burning enough calories is nothing that I wish to anyone. But I see so many women in their like 50s, 60s still being in like trapped in that very like short term thinking when it comes to I need to lose fat tomorrow. I'm having a like vacation in 2 weeks. Like, how can I
Oh
get
gosh.
slim fast, right? And then not
Yeah.
eating anything and then losing a bunch of water weight mainly just to gain everything back and more. And I don't know, probably a lot of them will never get to the point where they are getting out of that. And that really, really makes me sad when in reality learning more and understanding better the body, like your own body, and then and it definitely comes with you need to expand your knowledge as well. I mean, you definitely said you became a personal trainer your own, and you are very much into understanding things and not just like following the rules of like how to eat and how to train, but more so like what do I actually need. It's great that you made the experience so early in your 20s because
It
look
is early if you
look
think about
what you
it.
have in front of you all those years.
Woo.
Woo! Where have you been like right before? Do you remember where you have been specifically in your life right before you joined us? Like
Yes,
what was going
actually, that
on?
that was the reason I joined you because after 5 years of really getting myself to a place where I have a comfortable and safe relationship with food, I feel empowerment in the gym. I clearly knew how to train. I spent years training other people, perfecting, my execution in the gym. It was earlier this year around Christmas, and I didn't feel like I was in a place where I was fighting with my body or needed to lose weight. I did feel very comfortable, but even after all of this, I felt like there was more on the table for me. And I looked healthy, but I didn't actually look like I lifted the way that I knew that I could. And it was probably the first time where I started feeling hungry for more. And so in December, I told myself, you know what, I'm going to try to take 2025 and really try a fat loss phase, go through a building, a maintenance, and a fat loss phase. And even at that time, I was fairly educated. I knew it took different phases. It wasn't trying to do it all at once. And it went terribly. I
What
felt
happened?
I'm very all or nothing. You know this. When I commit to something, I do it well. I was not worried about adherence. I probably had watched 75 YouTube videos, spent hours in research, and had my plan. And I went December, January, and March. I was like, I'm going to give myself about 3 months. And the first month went great. I felt different. My gym performance was going well. Like I could kind of feel different in my clothes. The weight wasn't responding a ton. And then February and March was awful. One, I felt like I was hit by a truck every single day. I'm like, why can't I get out of bed?
Mm.
I'm sleeping. I was also doing, so I'm like, right, the harder that I work, the more success that I'll see. So I was going to the gym and lifting, cutting back on all of my macros while still giving myself, like carbs, fats, proteins. But I was also doing these HIIT classes that was, I look back now. So these classes felt like I was training to be in the Navy SEALs. I can't explain this one studio here that's in Charleston. So one, it's a heated class that's at
Boot
100 degrees
camp.
Fahrenheit, okay? Plus, in the class, it's not like heated yoga. It's heated assault bikes and weightlifting training, but not for a 30-minute class, for an hour class. And it's 100 degrees in there, and you're surrounded by only CrossFit individuals who, like, no one's wearing their shirts. Everyone has 17 abs. They're throwing around weight. And so I was trying to keep up with that. And of course, I look back now, I'm like, why did I feel so bad? So I was trying to do that and go on run. I just way overdid it. And then at the end of March, I did look different. I had felt different. I had lost 3 pounds over
Mm.
3 months. And I could see a bit of body recomposition, but I knew, I was like, I am doing something wrong. And then my weight kept going up. And I'm
Mm.
like, this is impossible because I know how to track macros. I mean, like to a T. I know my accuracy is there. I was tracking every gram of coffee creamer. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense because I know science. I know that this is right. So why do I feel terrible? And I don't have any social media. And I ran across your guys' platform because I manage the social media page for my part-time job. I manage the business
Mm.
profile. And you guys had popped up on my business event planning profile.
Why?
I have no idea. Maybe it was just like how my life was supposed to go. It was an
Exactly.
afterthought coming into my life. And because I have a basis of education, I was looking through your posts, and I can usually tell right away, like, oh, that's bad advice or good advice. But there was a lot of new information that I was learning. And I'm like, oh, these people, one, I know that they're founded in science, that this makes sense. But I was reading the stories in your story, and I'm like, oh, it really feels like they're speaking to me, because it was saying, do you know how to do everything right? You're not a beginner. You understand macros. You know how to train. You're doing it all, but you don't look like you do. And so that was when I decided to jump in. It was right at the end of my kind of failed fat loss phase. I'm like, well, we'll try something else. And well, here we are.
Here we are. And it's so great that you like jumped in.
I was ready. I knew that I was ready too, because there's only a certain point where the education that you have goes so far. And I knew I had done everything that I could and knew how to do
Mm,
it, and it wasn't working. And I'm not in a place in my life where I'm going to spin my wheels anymore. If it
mm.
wasn't working, I was done. I needed to find a new solution, move on, the end.
The end.
The end.
How did your like life, body, confidence change for you in the last couple of months?
It's for me, it's in so many more ways than just fitness. And of course, you know this and the community knows this. I think the changes go so much deeper than how I look because one, yes, right, I feel leaner, stronger, more athletic. But for me, the transformation really more has been in mindset and my life as a whole, because it's been a full new chapter of growth. I had already learned how to eat healthier, move my body, but the coaching here is different than, right, just giving you a checklist of here's the exercises to do, here's your macros. Really, it's been a lot of emotional healing around the person that I want to be, stepping
Mm,
into understanding it's not just about losing fat or building muscle. Being that woman that I envision myself, the athlete, the one with strength, who's empowered, who walks into a room and feels like, right, this is me in all of my glory. In order to be that person, fitness has to be, and health has to be an extension of my life and my values, not just a checklist of did I go to the gym today and did I
mm,
eat 120 grams of protein. And so I started thinking about myself differently and how I live because, yes, you guys gave me the roadmap. But as I started doing that roadmap, I realized, oh my gosh, my life isn't structured to do this
mm,
well. And I had to make really a decision of saying, well, in the past, whenever I've been stressed or right overwhelmed, the first thing to go is my fitness. But now that was a non negotiable for me. And I really had to come to the end of myself and realize I can't achieve all that I want to if I keep living my life the same way
mm,
with the people that are in it, the choices that I make with my career. And so it really forced me to restructure my days, my priorities. And I actually ended up quitting my full time job, which was crazy for me because, like, you just think you can't do that. Well, you can because you have autonomy. And it's forced me to pull on some other levers of my life and give myself the space to be kind to myself, to rest, to push when I need to come back
mm.
when I can, to be more centered around community, and really just to know how to take care of myself. And that's why it's so different because before I was doing the workouts, the macros, and drinking my water, but I really never had someone prompt me to think deeper about the life that I had created around me. And if that life and my priorities support being the athlete that I want to be.
Mm.
And it didn't. And so it forced me to make a change.
Bold moves.
Old moves. Well, you did it too. That also inspired me.
Oh yeah, and I think I was also 27. I need to like sometimes I forget like which year it was, but I think it was 20. I was 2017. I was 27. I will let you know, but it was a very I had a very like similar experience with like hey, at some point the health and the fitness goals were top priority, like highest values in life, and the job just had to change. I knew that I would not be able to pursue my goals, and I'm super happy that I made that move in my 20s. Because today I talked also to another lady of Women's Trans Society, and she did that in her 40s. So much later, and she was like, it's so great that you did it in your 20s, like you had so much like more time to actually get into those healthy habits that are supporting your growth and your health long term than me doing it later on in my 40s, or some even in their like 50s.
And I mean, it's better to do it, once
Whenever. Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But instead of feeling like a victim in my own life and saying, well, these are the cards that I've been
Yeah.
dealt, I can't change this, I'll never be able to be the woman that I want to be, realizing that just because this job isn't working, or doesn't mean that I don't have to never work again or do something crazy. It might just
Mm.
mean finding a less intensive job or making a little bit less money or finding something where its schedule worked out. And I think it was taking that pressure off of being so all or nothing,
Mm.
which has been a big theme in right my life as a perfectionist and very all or nothing. A lot of habits of women with eating disorders have those qualities. And that leached into other areas of my life. And so realizing like the world isn't going to end if I quit my job. I'm just going to
Yeah.
take some time to find one that works better for me and supports my values and goals. And I would have never gotten to that place had it not been for right coaches who are doing more than giving you macros, really inspiring you to look at yourself as a person and your life and if it's how you want it to be created.
Cool. I'm happy to be like just a little tiny piece of that journey and like to see you step into your growth and into your future self. Like what's coming up next for you? Or you
Well,
don't know.
finding a new job is one.
We're putting that on the agenda. Yep. Noted.
I think for me, it's such a transient period of my life, which instead of giving me anxiety, it gives me a lot of joy to be creative again and to start taking time, one, taking care of myself and other people around me, but two, really starting to push further of where I want to push and come back on the areas of my life that I was giving too much energy. And so the answer is honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do for work. I don't know even specifically what like my perfect athlete goal is. I don't have anything that I'm training for. A lot of it looks like me just sitting in this period of life and reflecting and saying, I don't, I may not know the answers for who I'm going to be when I grow up or where I want to be, but I do know that on the day to day basis, I'm doing the right things. I'm
Oh.
relearning how to take care of myself. I'm feeling empowered in who I am and the choices that I'm making in my lifestyle as well. The people who are surrounding me, not going out anymore,
Hmm.
not drinking, all of these different things have changed how I'm just interacting with the world around me. And so I'm excited to be creative about what I'm going to do for work again and restructuring my idea of work. Maybe it can be something where I find more activity and joy in my day and I don't have such
Maybe back to fitness.
anxiety on Sunday nights about logging into, a meeting that I don't want to be on and really
I remember that feeling.
Sunday nights and Monday mornings, you're just sitting in bed, like twiddling your thumbs, like, I can't do another week of this. And feeling really just feeling optimistic about recreating what's around me. And I'm excited to, look into avenues like maybe I'll start my own business. Maybe I'll get back into health and fitness and coaching. Maybe it won't be that at all. But
Hmm.
right now, what's coming up is really nothing big. It's just being excited about the day to day and continually doing those checklists and taking care of myself, which I've never been at this space in my
Yeah.
adult life, which is just simply here's the day that I have and I know how to live it. And that's enough for me.
So it stays curious, like what's going to happen
Yes,
to be continued.
he continued.
What would be your last word for today? Speaking to your younger self, someone, a woman who is maybe on the fence of like joining, maybe not being sure if like this is the right space for her.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is actually a quote that has really impacted the way that I interact with Women's Strength Society and my journey there. And it's this concept of giver's gain. And when I joined, I went in with the intention of getting new macros, getting a workout plan, getting to 18 body fat percentage, or right, whatever I wanted, and getting out. And what it's turned into is so much more involvement with women around the world who encourage me, people that I feel inspired by, but also a feeling of empowerment with the people that I can share my story with. And when someone comments on a failure, I'm able to say, hey, I was right there with you last week. And I think that's one thing that I would encourage women if they're on the fence is understanding this is bigger than just you. It's not just another checklist or a plan. It's people who are willing to step into your life and help you really understand who you are, the decisions that you make, the
Mm.
values that you have, and how pouring into other people around you also gives you more as well. I've actually learned more by heavily engaging and interacting with the community when honestly that was never my intention. I didn't go in there being like, I'm going to be involved every day. To be honest, I was like, I'm going to get in, get out, get my stats and leave.
Give me
And
my training program and my
like,
macros.
yeah, I'm not doing this long term. And so that was one of the most powerful thing of like what keeps me in the group and how it's opened up so many doors in my life is being able to, it's a give and a take, share my story but learn from others. And
Mm.
another thing, understanding there wasn't anything wrong with me. For women who feel so stuck and confused, like you're doing everything right, nothing is working, having the taking a deep breath and knowing like it's not because you're broken. You don't have to stay exhausted or questioning yourself or right watching YouTube videos at 6 a.m. to figure out what you're doing wrong. That this group gives you the roadmap and support that you need, but it also challenges you to grow in a different way internally, to reevaluate your choices, to step into the best version of yourself. And so that's one of my biggest lessons is that it's not going to go perfectly, but it's not about the 150 grams of my oats in the morning, right? It's so much more than that. And you will fail, but how important it is to have a community around you that helps
Mm.
you reevaluate and learn from that. And that this is not a quick fix. This is really being okay and settling into the fact that the journey I see for myself, the transformation that I want, that will take time, but that is not a negative thing. Just because I can't change in 2 months doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. That the journey itself, falling in love with the process, learning about myself throughout it, that's that's when you can look in the mirror and say, I'm really stepping into who I want to be. And that's honestly when the body changes follow. I feel like my composition now is a reflection of the choices that I've made,
Mm.
the woman that I am. It's not because, right, you guys made me eat 300 grams of carbs, which is a part of it. But that's another thing, too, just the willingness to be open and to learn. And if this is going to be a right fit for you, if you're willing to actually listen and take a
Mm.
look at yourself and engage with yourself differently and coaches differently. If you're on a one track mind of I'm not ready to listen to what other people have to say or this is how I do it, why have a coach? Because I guarantee you guys told me very different things than I thought. I thought you were going to tell me to like cut my calories, and instead Yannick's like, hey, are you drinking 40 carbs in your workout? And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, and I don't want to do it, but I did it because I was there for a reason. So that's all to say that it's the place for you if you're willing to take a step into a new life, a new version of yourself, be open to learning and engaging with others around you, giving and taking. And if you're looking for, right, a way to drop just the last 5 pounds before vacation, this is going to be more challenging because it requires more from you internally. But that's also why it's such a perfect fit for the women who are wanting more.
Beautifully said. And I think it really loops back to the very beginning of when I was introducing you and saying that you're sharing all the ups and downs, the good and the bad in the
I've had a lot of
community.
failures here, but that's part of it.
It's absolutely part, and you are leaning into that, and that makes you you, and that brings so much value to everyone in the community. And so many women are, even the ones who are maybe more like quietly watching, but for the ones who are maybe shy of opening up when there are challenges, which just are part of the game. And oftentimes for the women who are not ready, they will quit when it gets hard. And for the ones who are actually ready to look at themselves and be like, okay, what is actually my problem right now, and what opportunities do I have to ask for support and lean into that and see it as an opportunity rather than just something that is wrong with me, or I'm broken, or this is not going to work, or the macros are it's the fault of the macros or the training program or whatever. So I'm super glad that you are sharing all of it, the good and the bad, the nice
And that's
stuff.
another thing is like it forces you to be less all or nothing because you can't be. I truly went into this thinking, right, I'm more competitive than everyone else. I'm more perfectionistic. I'm going to do everything right. And I really believed that. And then I hit my first roadblocks and then like epic failures where I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I'm like falling apart, like, woe is me. Yannick just had this week, Yannick commented on one of my posts where I'm like, I've failed. And he very kindly was just like, you're fine, move on. I'm like, oh, okay. And so it's understanding that like it's a long-term journey. You're not going to be perfect, but that's the part of it is you guys help us through the times it doesn't go well and it won't, but learning resiliency, learning a longer, just a longer, more extended view of where you want to go, taking the pressure off. And if one day goes bad, it literally doesn't matter. Get back up and do it again. You learn something through it. That's what you guys really inspire. And I'm honestly a lot less perfectionistic and all or nothing because of it. And that's changed my life in many other ways.
Because you feel like the moment you hit that, like you have that failure, you're like, oh, actually, it wasn't even like
Yeah,
that
like,
bad,
no, it
right?
was,
Less dramatic.
oh no.
Amazing. Thank you, Lindsay,
Oh, it's my
for
pleasure. Thank you
today.
so much for having me on here. You guys are such a change to my life, and I'm so grateful to be a part of not only your team, but the women around me. So thanks for having me, but also changing my life. And now I'm going to go cook my breakfast that I'm supposed to eat in 15 minutes based on my meal.
Yes. Let's go and get it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you guys. We'll talk soon.